BBC Radio 2, it's Big Guest Friday on the Scott Mills Breakfast Show. It's week 2 of the show, and I think we have already peaked because I am sat with Elton John and Brandi Carlile in Elton John's house. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for inviting us into your home. Which is this room that we're in right now?
This is the vinyl room.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a bigger record collection apart from the BBC's.
Oh, the BBC's got everything. I mean,
Yeah.
the first thing I ever did for the AIDS Foundation was to sell my record collection to raise money. So I sold the whole of it, all the albums, all the 12-inch singles, and all the 45 to a guy in St. Louis just to raise money. It was the first money we ever raised for the Elton John AIDS Foundation.
Wow. Okay.
But then it's made such a resurgence, I started collecting again, as you can see.
So is this quite recent?
Yes.
Oh, I thought these had been here years.
No. This is only the last 3 or 4 years.
Brandi, good morning.
Good morning.
You have been making some incredible music together, which is why I'm here. I'm very excited to have Rihanna on the show. I mean, Brandi on the show. Has everyone made that joke since the Golden Globes?
Just you, actually.
Really?
Yeah, well done.
Oh,
No, it's
thanks.
just you.
Brandi, do you basically live here now?
Whenever I can, I live here now, yeah.
I don't think I would leave.
I may never.
Is Elton a good host?
Oh, yeah, Elton and David are brilliant hosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just love to sit around and have our coffee and have a goss and listen to music. And
That's what we did this morning. Listen to her music, listen to brand new music that like she hadn't heard. It was great. That's all we do, basically, listen
Yeah.
to music.
Huge congratulations on the Oscar nomination. Best Original Song, Brandi, your first Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
You must be buzzing.
I can't believe it. It's actually unbelievably surreal, you know? I mean, when I fell in love with Elton's music first off, and I was so young, I recalled him winning the Oscar for Lion King. And, you know, that was 1995, 1996, around there. And so
Like
it's...
94 or so, I don't know.
Yeah, surreal to be here now and to be a part of Elton's Oscar magic.
Elton, that's potentially your third Oscar, but you have so many awards. Is there a point, even now, where you get bored of winning?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, we won, the beginning of last year, we won an Emmy, which I didn't have. So I became an EGOT. Which
Yeah, you got an EGOT.
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. There aren't many of those.
No.
She only needs to win a Tony to get one as well.
If we win the Oscar.
Yeah, if we win the Oscar. Oh, yeah. If we win the Oscar, that's it. Sorry, I thought you already won one. How awful that you haven't won one.
Keep track.
No, do I get bored? No, it's been an amazing career, and I always look forward and not look back.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited about this because Brandi came to the south of France and saw a very rough cut of the documentary and started work on this song. And originally the documentary was going to be called Farewell Yellow Brick Road, which was a bit boring. And then, of course, when this song was finished and we recorded it, we thought this was, it's all about the documentary. It's about my life and how it turned around. It's never too late to do anything. And it worked out so beautifully. And all 4 of us worked on, including Bernie and Andrew Watt, the producer. So it's a quadruple effort. But really, the nuts and bolts came from Brandi.
The documentary, fascinating to watch. It's 50 years of history, basically, in one film. And we were just chatting before we came on air. Most of that footage I've never seen it before.
Well, I hadn't seen most of it as well. I mean, the John Lennon footage, I'd seen some of it, but not all of it.
That's incredible. And it's a story that I didn't know about your close friendship with John.
Yeah. Well, it was a wonderful friendship and a wonderful evening. John's last ever performance, rather. Yeah, it just brought brought back so many memories for me. What I was most surprised about is that the music that we made from 1970 to 1975 was so good. I don't listen to my stuff, but we made a lot of great records. We made 13 albums in that time, plus singles, plus B-sides. And we toured and we worked, and it was just, the momentum was incredible.
Elton's husband, David, directed and produced the documentary Never Too Late, and went through this vast archive of stuff to unearth footage and film that has never been seen before. Was there any part of it that you were most surprised to see, or to that you didn't think existed anymore?
I can't remember ever seeing the footage of me seeing Candle in the Wind. Footage from the tour, some of it I hadn't seen. I never watch anything about me.
Yeah.
Scott, because I just don't like to look at myself very often. And yeah, I'm not one to sort of bask in my own success. So yeah, I was very surprised. First time I saw the documentary, I was a bit tense. But the second time I saw it, I really loved it, and I thought it was just, it really nailed what I thought my career had been and how it's turned out to be. And that was the whole point of it. You know, it's never too late. I was in a really bad place at Dodger Stadium in 1975. I was in a bad place for a long time after that until I got sober in 1990. But I continued to work, and music saved me. It nearly killed me, but it saved me because I didn't just hide away. I just kept producing records, however good or bad they were. I just kept doing it. And when I did get sober, it was just my whole life turned around. I found David, we had the boys, and as you can see in the documentary, I'm the happiest man in the world and the luckiest.
Yeah, I mean, you can really tell that you're in a really happy place. So you don't listen to any old Elton songs? When was the last time you listened to your song?
No, I wouldn't go and put my own music on. I've had to approve a live album that is coming out for Record Store Day, that I did at the Rainbow 1977 on my own with Ray Cooper. And it just astounded me how great it was.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So I had to listen to that, but actually I really enjoyed it, and I was quite surprised how good it was. He said modestly, but I was.
Yeah. If you were good, you were good, you know. Yeah. Brandy, it must have been incredible to write with Elton. And tell me about how this partnership began. I believe it to be the case that you wrote to him.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, you know, Elton and Bernie are the reason I started writing songs and playing music as a really young girl. And not just that, it shaped a lot about me, including kind of my worldview. And it was my way out of my town and childhood and stuff. So there have been many surreal moments over time, but it started with, I wrote Elton a letter. And I asked if he would play music with me and sing with me, and he did on one of my early albums, and was just always like kind of from day one, like supportive of me in a way that was just mystical, actually. It felt kind of like an instant family connection that the two of us had, which you would think I would have been nervous to kind of to cross that line, but it didn't happen that way. It's always felt kind of ordained.
We clicked straight away.
I was going to ask, why did you say yeah?
Because I knew her music.
Yeah.
Because I listened to her
you
so
are
much
across everything,
stuff. But I mean, I knew her music and I loved it. And so I thought, I'd love to do that. Come to Las Vegas because I'm here and doing concerts. So she did. Came to the studio at the Palm Studio, played piano. Did I sing on it?
Yeah, you sang on it. You played piano first, and then I got the nerve up to ask you to sing. And you said, what are the lyrics? And I remember I've never written anything down so fast in my life.
Yeah.
And
But as she said, it's ordained. I mean, we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
Sometimes you meet someone like Bernie, and I met David, and I met her. It's ordained because we've just clicked.
Yeah, I can really tell that.
We're soulmates.
yeah.
But Brandy will tell you that I write very quickly.
Yeah.
And when I'm inspired, when I write with her and Bernie and Andrew, it's just, we wrote this new album in 3 weeks, 14 tracks, 10 on the album. So when you're working with great people and quick people, I mean, Bernie and I wrote songs that were so many songs in such short a time.
When you say short time, are we talking hours, days?
Yeah. No, minutes.
Minutes.
Yeah, it's instant. I remember setting that lyric down for Never Too Late in front of Elton the first time, and he moved so fast he probably doesn't even remember sequentially how it went, but like I really remember, you know, I set the lyric down and he goes right and he sits at the piano and he starts going to sing it and he just yells, "Cut the first line! First line doesn't make sense." And I go, "Well, it's in 6/8, Elton, so it's in 6/8 time signature." "No, it's not." He just goes, "Never too late," and the song just appeared. It wasn't a song; it was a poem, and it wasn't a song until Elton made it a song. And it went like within 15 minutes, it was there, and we were recording it. It was
incredible.
Wild. Yeah.
There's a particularly poignant song on the album that I think Bernie wrote for you, Elton, the last track.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, it's called When This Whole World Is Done With Me. And on the album, we recorded everything on film. The makings of songs, the recording of songs, all the bad behavior that I did. And this song, I started writing, I thought, this is a very nice verse, you know, it's really nice. Then I got to the chorus and I twigged what it was about. And I broke down because it's about my death, it's about mortality. And when you get to the late 70s, you think about mortality, especially when you have children and a great husband. You think, well, I hope I got a few more years left. And so this really affected me, and I sobbed for about 45 minutes. And then I tried to put the piano down and the vocal. And Andrew, what the producer said, no. Now, this isn't the time and the day to do it. You come back tomorrow, you sit down the piano and you sing it and play it at the same time, which I did. That is what happened. It's the first take, the first vocal, and I sang it live. And obviously it was a very important song for me to sing. People say, oh, it's a bit doom-laden, that song. And I said, well, it's just about life and death, you know, that's all it is. And I wanted to have a brass band on the end of it, so we put a brass band on. Because I always loved the sound of a brass band. It has that funereal sound to it. So that's what happened.
A couple of the artists that you've supported, Elton, won the Grammys this week. Chapel, Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX. Do you have a message for those people?
No, it's just that last year was an incredible year for female artists.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any male artist that really did what they did. I mean, you had Taylor Swift with the incredible tour and success of the album. You had Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, Chapel, Charlie XCX, amazing. And then you had Gracie Abrams.
Yeah.
And then you have Olivia Rodrigo. The girls were just amazing. It was and all the songs were good.
Yeah.
They were great. I can't remember a year where the pop songs were so good for a long time.
High quality pop right now.
Really great songs. And luckily I got to see Chapel Roan in concert in London, and I met her for the first time, but I'd FaceTimed her all the time because we became friends. She was fabulous. She was incredible.
So do you think pop music's in a good place at the moment?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that the level of quality, and you can tell because the top 20 never moves, because it's the same songs, but the songs, they last. You don't get fed up. I didn't get fed up with Espresso.
No.
And I didn't get fed up with Apple by Charlie XCX. It's just, I still play those records, and they came out quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've happened simultaneous to a resurgence in kind of awareness and respect for like Kate Bush and Joni Mitchell. Everybody's thinking and reading a lot about them as they've sort of re-entered the zeitgeist. So I'm seeing a lot of reference to those artists and some of these pop stars and some of the great music they're making too, which is so exciting for me.
I also think that people sometimes think that someone like Sabrina Carpenter came out of nowhere, but she's been working hard for years and years.
Album.
Yeah, I know.
It's Chapel's second album.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention Ray, of course, who I absolutely adore.
Yeah, Ray's
and
fantastic.
Your Oscar-winning Tears is one of my favourite songs, which is beginning to happen in America. There's so much out there, so many great female singers.
Brandy, we talked about how you and Elton first started working together. What did that support mean so early in your career?
Well, it meant really big things for me. You know, that was life affirming, having that kind of support from somebody who kind of birthed the concept of writing music for me. It meant that I was doing a good job, and that maybe on some level, you know, he even recognized that influence. So it was huge. You take that with you your whole life, you know, and for it to have turned into this is really incredible. These are great times for me.
It happened to me as well. I first started my career when I went to America, Neil Diamond introduced me at the Troubadour.
That's right.
Leon Russell was in the audience. I met Bob Dylan. I met Brian Wilson. George Harrison sent me a telegram. The band came to see me very early on.
Yeah.
And it gives you a ratification of what you're doing is good.
Yeah.
And what she was doing was really good.
But isn't that great that you can do that like they did for you?
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to do that.
He does too.
It's so gratifying. To help new artists, and you know, she's not a new artist anymore, but she's a major artist, I think. It's been a wonderful journey, that friendship, you know, and I've seen her get better and better and better and better. And on Who Believes in Angels, we pushed each other really hard.
Yeah.
And I needed that because after I finished Glastonbury, I thought, I want to make this record. But when I got to make it, arrived, I was exhausted, tired, grumpy. It's all on film. And, you know, she pushed me, and Andrew pushed me, and Bernie pushed me, because I didn't want to make the same kind of record that I'd made years before. I wanted it to be fresh, and I wanted it to be exciting, and I wanted it to be vital.
Unexpected.
Vital,
too.
unexpected. and vital.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel the energy in the record has. And she made a long way she put up with so much from me.
I mean, Yeah, but it was kind of iconic. It was what you'd hope,
Yeah.
you know, because it just really was watching a masterclass, a masterwork on a level that's hard to even really conceptualize nowadays. So it was pretty spectacular, and also the conceptualizing of the album. He doesn't give himself enough credit, like the fact that it was his idea, and then he went through variations of this idea. He would call me and he would say, it's going to be like Alison Krauss and Robert Plant. And then he would call me a week later and go, no. It'll be the Eurythmics. Yeah. And then he would call me and go, okay, no, Buddy Holly and Patsy Cline. And then one day he called me and he said, no, let's just be us, but let's not do what anyone would expect us to do. It's not an Americana record. It's not a ballad record. This is going to be something unlike anything anybody's ever heard. And that's what happened, you know.
And also the harmonization in the album. There hasn't been a record with those harmonies on, I can't think of one for years and years and years and years.
Right.
I played it to Jimmy Iovine and he said, nobody's done a record like this with harmonies. And, you know, that was really a crucial part of the record. I didn't just want to do one line, then she does another line, then we sing a chorus together.
Yeah.
It had to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've spoken to Lewis Capaldi before about his feelings of imposter syndrome and the conversations that Elton you've had with him. He told us about. Does that advice come from your own experience?
I think so. I mean, I've been through everything in my life. I've been through everything you could possibly think of. But when you get young artists like Sam Fender and Lewis Capaldi, they're having a little bit of a problem coping with what's going on. I can help them.
Yeah.
I can put my arm around them and say, listen, it's okay. Do things on your own speed. Don't be told you have to do a record. You have to just do things at your own speed.
And you can tell that both of those people you just mentioned really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both really great writers. They're both great acts. And, you know, Lewis will make a record when he needs to make a record. And Sam's got a new one more or less out now.
Yeah.
So it's just wonderful to see the fact that they don't feel pressured to make another record, which record companies used to do. They can do things when they want to. And that's the whole creative process, doing things when you feel like it.
Elton, someone who I know supported you a lot was our very own Steve Wright.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's hard to believe, but it's coming up to a year since we lost Steve. I love this story, but I'd love you to tell it in your words. So Steve helped you get your first solo UK #1.
Yeah.
Sacrifice.
I had a single from an album called Sleeping with the Past. And A-side was Healing Hands. And the B-side was Sacrifice. And Steve couldn't believe that Sacrifice was not the A-side and the B-side. So in the end, he campaigned, and the record company went with it to flip it over.
Yeah.
And Sacrifice became the single, the A-side, and it was my first solo #1 record in England. I'd had one with Kiki D, with Don't Go Breaking My Heart, but this was the first one for me. And he supported me all throughout my career. He had such a knowledge of music and a love of music, like Johnny Walker too.
Yeah.
And they're two giants of radio that have gone.
Yeah. I mean, you were close, I know that, right up to the end of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, for me, a terrible loss for radio, and Johnny Walker's exactly the same.
Have there been times in your careers, either of you, this is too, when you've doubted yourselves?
On this album.
Really?
I came into this album with huge doubt. I mean,
Me
the
too.
beginning of this album was not easy. I had more doubt on this record than I've ever had in my life.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I just wanted it to be special. And you can't guarantee when you walk in the studio that you're going to come out with something special. But if I'd have been on my own, without Brandy and Bernie and Andrew, this record would never got made. It was the combination of all the energy in the room, all the aggravation, all the anxiety pushed us to make electric music. And I could never have got through it without them, because I was in a very, very dark place of doubt. I was tired. I wasn't feeling well. People pushed me, and it came together. But it came together very quickly once it started. But yeah, I had a huge doubt. What about you?
Yeah, I had huge doubt. I mean, I had like existential doubt because there was the risk of what if like the lyricist who I idolized didn't approve of my lyrics, or what would happen the first time I put a lyric down in front of Elton John? What if he was just like, it doesn't inspire me and couldn't write to it? Because it's such a carnal impulse to be able to write to something. He may have not gelled with me that way. We gelled as friends, but who would have known whether or not he could have written to that lyric? And that pinch point, that moment of knowing whether or not it would work was like, I would say pretty existentially terrifying for me. And also, Elton wasn't exactly like the Zen master, you know. When we walked into there together, he was feeling these things too, which manifests in him in kind of a very short attention span, and it's intense. Yeah. So yeah, for a lot of reasons, it felt like a powder keg for the first, I would say, 3 or 4 days. But when it clicked, wow, just affirming in every way, right?
Yeah, and all 4 of us are big. I mean, we're such great friends. I mean, the kinship between the 4 of us and the bond we have together is pretty remarkable, amazing. And for Bernie to be so generous to Brandy was incredible. I mean, he's probably one of the greatest lyric writers of all time. And he was so generous to her.
He kept taking me out to his favorite diner.
Did he?
In Beverly Hills, with this like steakhouse, and we would go drink whiskey sours and eat steaks and talk about Elton. It was really special, actually.
Bit of downtime.
Yeah, the first time I ever went to LA, I was like 17 years old, and I went to Los Angeles to visit a place to take a photograph of Bernie's desk. That's how important Bernie's lyrics were to me. So Elton's right. He was incredibly generous with me.
And if it wasn't for your friendship and you guys knowing Elton, that probably after Glastonbury, we wouldn't have heard of you again for a while.
No, you wouldn't. But I was determined to make this album. It was all booked for October.
Yeah.
But when I got to LA, I thought, it's too soon. It's much too soon. And that's how I entered the studio, with the doubt and the tiredness and the anger. But it was necessary to get this album done, was to me to go through that process. And after I got through that week's period of feeling like that, it just flew, and it was just amazing.
And even when he was feeling like that, when this, the furrowed, when it was like that, and he would sit down at the piano, almost like all of that anxiety would come out in the most masterful and kind of dark piano playing I had ever. It was like the glass was shaking. Yeah. So it had its benefits too, those feelings.
Elton, though, I hope you are getting to spend more time with the family, which was the plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I am, and it's wonderful. I don't miss playing live at all.
That was my next question.
I do not miss playing live. In fact, I did a clip in a movie of Spinal Tap 2, and we had to go into a huge auditorium in New Orleans to film it. And I said to David, God, I'm having heebie-jeebies. Please don't ever let me do this in play again. I do not miss it one iota. I've done some private shows where to keep my chops done, ready, and that's been great. But no, I don't miss it. I dread it. But when I did the last show, it was fabulous with the band. It was a really joyous experience. I have to keep playing music.
Yeah.
And I will make other records, and I will be doing different sorts of records.
Brandy, this is some retirement, isn't it?
Oh no, it's never going to happen.
And now I've got this one and this one and this one. I love it.
Yeah.
Brandy, you joined Elton on stage at the Dodgers Stadium on the farewell tour, which, I mean, that must have been incredible for Elton playing there again. But you two together doing Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, it was, what my favorite part of the show, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I loved all the unseen footage, but as a performance, incredible.
That was one of those times in your life when there's a glitch in the matrix and you have this extreme feeling of surreal, just epiphany.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that was happening to me. I've been singing that song since I was such a young girl and dreaming, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John.
That is that bit, isn't it?
That's the moment. And that was me walking on stage instead. And my heart was just pounding in my ears.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Brandy Carlisle. Yeah, and I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Yeah, it was an amazing performance, but I knew there was only one person who could do that song. Well, yeah, she nailed it. It was
incredible.
It was those last 3 shows in America were just magical. And throughout that whole tour, we didn't flag. We didn't sort of come. We knew it was going to end on a high, but all the performances before Dodger Stadium were just of that quality. And then we came back to England and we did Glastonbury, which was unreal,
Yeah.
and then finished the tour off in Europe. The quality of the shows were exactly the same because I was so happy. And when I came off stage in Stockholm after the last show and got in the car, David said, "How do you feel?" I said, "I feel so happy,
Great.
so happy."
Brilliant.
We did it. We went out on the high that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Elton John, Brandy Carlisle, thank you so much for this. It's been insightful, it's been entertaining, and I've learned a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you, Scott.
And I can just stay here now, right? In the vinyl.
You live in the
library.
vinyl room now.
I live here
Yeah.
now. Thank you so much for spending the time, guys, and inviting
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.